Good morning, gardening friends. Today is Saturday, September 23rd, and I don't know if you can see the heat rising off of my coffee mug, but it is 68 degrees right now. It's about 8 o'clock, and it is a beautiful morning, sunny. At least the sun is coming out, wispy clouds in the sky. The fragrance back here is almost overwhelming because the angel trumpets have put off blooming during the heat, and now they all seem to be putting out at once. So I have white angels trumpets over here and a bunch of yellow ones behind me. I normally don't do a video on Saturday, but I took a walk around back here and some exciting things are happening. And they're ephemeral, or they can be, and I thought I would show you them today while they're still around. But first, I wanted to show you my haul. I watch a lot of programs on TV, gardening and designer programs, and they always talk about, look at the haul that I got. In any event, I bought me some paper whites. They are huge. Those of you that are local, they're from Al's Five and Dime. They have both the paper whites and the yellow daffodils. I bought 2 dozen. They're $1.50 a piece. And I'm putting them in the refrigerator. They don't need to be refrigerated. Paper whites, you could plant them out in the ground right now. But I bought these 2 dozen for forcing. I put 6 in a pot at a time, and I want them to bloom throughout the winter. So I'll plant my first pot up probably in the middle of October, hoping for a Thanksgiving bloom. And then when those bloom, I'll pot up another batch, and then another and another till they're gone. Let me have a sip of coffee before we get up and around. It is beautifully cool today, and the humidity is low. The other thing that Al's did have was they started putting out their cool season stuff, and I bought a bunch of lettuces, little 3-packs of lettuce. I'm going to put some in the front yard in the potager, and others I'm just going to plant back here. I have a couple of empty pots, and I'm just going to stick some lettuces back here and see how they do on the deck. I put a quick short out, I think it was yesterday. Gatto was back, the tortoise that lives back here, gave him some bread and he went on his way. I do have blooms on both of my new trout lilies. I'm sorry, toad lilies. There is a trout lily as well, but these are toad lilies that I got this year from Walmart. They're small, but they're blooming. One there, and they're yellow. And the other one is over here. It's kind of being swamped by the African iris. The toad lilies will get taller with time. That's why I planted them there. They do better in the ground. I don't know what it is about toad lilies. I planted them in pots just to get them going, and they quickly filled the pots with roots, and that may have been the problem, because they just, once when the pot was filled with roots, they just didn't do real well. So I put them out in the ground. So there's a honeybee looking over the Tradescantia. They love that purple color. And this has done well this year. The plumbago. I think part of the reason it did well is I didn't forget about it, but I just left it be. And I didn't, because of the heat this year, I didn't have to trim my camellias. Normally I have to get in there and trim the camellias 2 or 3 times in the summer. Well, I didn't have to do that this year, and because of that, the plumbago just sort of did what it wanted to do. And it really does echo the blue color of the hydrangeas. I think I will let that plumbago has been there for about 3 or 4 years, but I've just never let it do its thing until this year. I do have an encore azalea I planted last year back in here, hoping for that to get a little taller. This garden used to be my ginger lily collection. And when I used to go away for the summers, that's when the ginger lilies would bloom, and they just got to be too much of a pain. And so I just kept 3 or 4 different types. Here's what I wanted to show you, is the spider lilies are in bloom. Yay! They are a beautiful flower, no fragrance. To give you a idea of size, about the size of my palm of my hand. The leaves around them are daylilies. The spider lilies have no leaves this time of year. They send the stalk just plain out of the ground. Here you can see it better with this one. It's just a stalk coming out of the ground. They have leaves in the spring. I have a ring of those around this bed. But what makes them ephemeral is the blooms would actually last probably a week. But they are a magnet for those horse lubbers, the great big grasshoppers. And they will snap, they don't snap them off, they love the stalks of the spider lilies. Some will be nice and they'll eat a little here and a little there, and others will just go right to the very center of the stalk, and it'll look like a weed whacker has come and whacked it down. But I have a bunch of spider lilies around. They are very difficult to get established. I've planted these probably about, well, I've had spider lilies for probably about 15, 20 years. I think in that 15 to 20 years, I think I've maybe had a dozen actual blossoms. It's just a matter of luck when the blossoms come. The bulbs are there. They keep getting bigger. So the probability of having blossoms increases with time, but the issue is mostly the bugs that do like to eat the tips. So enough said about that. Here you can see this plumbago. I'm going to try and stick it into the camellia because this one hasn't grown like the other. Well, I guess in all fairness, the other one stretches for the afternoon sun. And this one is stretching towards the sun, but that means coming forward. So it doesn't look as pretty as the one back there. I've noticed my mandevilla is starting to vine up, and I'm going to let it vine into that window box. Let it fill it in and hopefully compete with the sweet potato vine. I did notice my air potato, although it still looks well, it only has one potato over there. It should have more than that, but it is what it is. Some are edible of the air potatoes. The problem is some are poisonous. You can't tell the difference. I did notice we had a casualty here last night. Some animal, either cat or raccoon, knocked this hanging flower pot down. And I think I'm just going to take the other one down as well. One, I don't have another pot to match it, and of course it's one of 2 that was destroyed. But the other thing is the flower that was in there really has performed poorly. It has not bloomed at all since I planted it. So I'll be planting it out in the yard somewhere, hoping for better. Oh, there's a deceased horse lubber. Leave him there and Godot will come and eat him. They are poisonous to animals. However, there's one bird in Alabama, and I don't remember the name of it, that eats them. It's only around in the wintertime, which is unfortunate because the horse lubbers are around in the summer and fall. And in any event, what it does is it kills it, impales it on a thorn, and leaves it. And the poisons in the horse lubber disappear after 3 or 4 days, and then it comes back and eats it. Here, this white angel's trumpet is blooming as well. Just looking at my little dish garden, it's doing okay. I don't know, the plants there are turning a little yellow. I don't have a lot of luck with plants that I buy from Aldi's. They seem to do okay. I don't think they're known for their plants, so just one of those warnings. You get what you pay for. This angel's trumpet is doing fabulously well. Let's see. I'm in the sun, I have to see. It's a huge flower, and of course, this is my eye level, so it's above eye level. And my datura is doing well. It's a little floppy. It's moved over where I don't necessarily want it, but it's found its place, and I'm just letting it do its thing. And I noticed there's a new flush of growth in some of my cycads. Don't know as if that growth is going to make it through the winter because it's coming kind of late, but we shall see. It looks like I did lose one of my knockout roses. This is the one I did not lose. This is yellow. I'll have to see if I can find another yellow. It's a problem when you plant things symmetrically. If one dies, what do you do with the spare? This is the one that didn't do real well. I don't think it's going to come back. And of course, I was looking for yellow knockout roses and didn't see any. Strawberries have thickened out nicely. I'm letting these runners come through the monkey grass, and what I'm hoping to do is pot them up once when they establish a little bit of roots. The bees are just going crazy. I have noticed I have a pair of hummingbirds that seem to be working over my hummingbird feeder. And I come out sometimes at 6 in the morning and sit because it's pleasant to do that right now without the humidity and the heat. And it'll be like that all winter. But I did notice in the morning they come and they actually sit. They sit on the little perches and drink. And they'll fly up to the crepe myrtle tree and just sit there for a while. But there you have it for today. The spider lilies are in bloom. Yay! Have a good week. Take care.